We've gone deep into the diet like I wanted to. Before we part ways here, let's talk about other lifestyle things that you're doing to keep healthy. Things that are non-negotiable aside from the diet.
Love it. Yeah. So in my practice and on my YouTube channel, I am promoting the absolute inescapable importance of living a life which is minimally going to cause inflammation. We want to reduce your chronic systemic inflammatory overburden. As such, the single most important thing you can do is eat a 100% carnivorous diet, ideally consistently and persistently, and ideally without the transgressions. But I'm not going to sit here in judgment, as I've said. Easily the most important thing, hugely the most important thing. If you're only going to do one thing, I would do that. Change your diet slowly. Don't do this overnight. Seriously. The second most important thing in my mind and in my experience is the range of nutraceuticals I was referring to earlier. The flagship product is a product, as I say, which causes your bone marrow to release your adult stem cells. Adult stem cells have two roles. One, differentiating into brand new adult cell lines to replace cells that are worn, degraded, diseased, broken down, no longer functioning ideally. So the stem cell comes along, binds to the dysfunctional cell, causes it to self-destruct and dissolve, clears away the detritus, and then turns into a new cell to replace the one that it's got rid of. And that new cell, get this, has a full-length telomere. So the more of these that you can get into your body, ostensibly the younger the tissues of your body are, in effect, because we know that telomere shortening is the biological clock of age. So if you can replace a cell line that's just about at its end with one with a full, well, why wouldn't you? That's ideal.
Okay, let me jump in before you go to the next one.
Please.
What's the name of the product? And is there other foods or lifestyle things we can do, exercise or whatever it is, that have the same effect?
Yes, good questions. Okay, so the product is the flagship product is called Stem Enhance Ultra. It has a green label, and you'll see it when you go to the website. Are there other things that you can do to encourage the release of these adult stem cells? Yes. Fasting more than 72 hours will cause an uptick in the release of these things. So you can do that for free if you want. However, that requires you to fast for at least 72 hours, and the actual amount of stem cells being released by that will be vastly less. So it's not remotely as effective. I'd pay the money, frankly. What else can you do? Exercise will do it. High intense exercise at the right volume, on the right schedule, etc. It's tough to get it right if you're not an exercise physiologist and you're not able to take your bloods to test that you're getting it right. So that's difficult. You may have heard of a substance called EPO, and I'm not talking about evening primrose oil. I'm talking about erythropoietin. That stuff will do the same thing, for example. However, that one comes with very serious risks, whereas the product I'm talking about doesn't come with such risks. There's a control mechanism on it. So there's that. In terms of side effects, negative effects, anything that people have reported to us, really nothing to speak of at all. It seems to be a product that comes completely without negative side effects, which is quite stunning, really. This is a product that I myself have personally taken for the last 14 years, 10 of those as a retail customer, not as someone involved in the affiliate marketing of this product. This is a company that doesn't so much advertise. What it does is it's like a multi-level type setup without being like a multi-level company. What we do is we encourage people with social media spheres of influence to mention that this stuff exists and what it is a few times a week on their social media offerings, and people flock. They buy it because it does exactly what it says it does. It's fantastic stuff. So that's our flagship product. We have other products that support that product. We have an anti-inflammatory, which is very, very powerful and does not have the negative side effects of pharmacological ones either. We have a blood flow optimizer, because if you're going to release stem cells, you want them to be able to get there. So a lot of people have very, very compromised blood supplies, blood flow. So we can sort that out. There's a collagen supplement for folks that are into that. And there's also a skincare range based on encouraging the stem cells under your skin to come forward and produce new skin cells and make you look younger than you are and stuff. So that's our product range in a nutshell. The important thing about the adult stem cells before they turn into a new heart cell, toenail cell, skin cell, not hair follicle cells apparently, incredible, is that these stem cells, before they differentiate when they're still in your blood circulation, they'll be exuding exosomes, tens of thousands of these things every hour, and the exosomes contain RNA, DNA messages, sometimes fully formed proteins, signaling molecules, all sorts of things, and they can regulate other tissues. Like if you've got inflamed tissue, these exosomes can send a calm down, let's not be so inflamed message. Stem cells that encounter cancerous material in your body will send that a message, self-destruct. This is a powerful product. This is an incredible product. It's the only product that I support, promote to my people at all. And I've looked at many products. The third most important thing you can do sounds crazy. It sounds like crystal waving woo-woo, but it's not. I've looked into the science, because that's what I do being a scientist. It's grounding yourself electrically, making a connection between you and Earth, an electrical connection, allowing you to absorb electrons from the surface of the Earth into your body. These electrons are then used by your body to repair damage done by oxidants, free radicals. Basically, the natural, normal way that a body has antioxidant effect is nothing to do with antioxidants found in foods. You're supposed to get your antioxidant effect by being grounded to the earth. In the last 100, 150 years, we've isolated ourselves from the earth. Rubber shoes, rubber soles on our shoes, car tires that are rubber, living in buildings that are electrically isolated because of the electrical code, etc., etc., etc. We spend most of our time not connected to the earth. Disastrous. A couple of things that happen when you ground yourself to the earth. Immediately, the effective viscosity, the thickness, if you like, or tackiness of your blood reduces by a factor of 3 immediately, like that second. So now your heart has to work 1/3 as hard as it had to the second before to push the same amount of blood through the same vascular system. That's got to be a win. Got to be a win. Aberrant cortisol profiles normalize. Normal ones remain normal. Okay, good. Healing is expedited from injuries. Sleep quality increases. Your brainwave activity changes from alpha to delta, or the other way around, I can't remember. Anyway, it's fight and flight to rest and recuperate so that you can feel relaxed and sleep, and deals with anxiety and all that kind of stuff, etc., etc., etc. There's all sorts of effects that have been noted associated with grounding versus people who are told they're grounded are given grounding kit that's a sham kit that isn't grounded, all else being relatively equal. So sure, it's, low numbers of subjects and all of that, but it's, it looks to me like a pretty sensible and innocuous thing to do. So I ground myself about 20 hours a day. How do I do that? The bed that we sleep in is grounded. We have a mat under the bed sheet which is connected to a stake in the ground outside. Down this end of the house when I'm working in the office, I am currently leaning on a mouse pad, which is grounded. And sleeping and working takes out about 20 hours of my day usually. So 4 hours I'm floating around ungrounded. Cool. So that's important, electrical grounding. The fourth most important thing is, also sounds crazy but isn't, that is you need to block blue wavelengths of light from entering your eyes anytime that the sun is not in the sky, i.e. nighttime. Daytime, don't do this. Blue light is indicated in the daytime. At nighttime, no. Again, in the last 100 years or so, We are bathing ourselves in artificial and blue wavelengths well after dark. Our eyes are receiving these light frequencies, and it's telling our body that's a completely different time of day to what it really is. It stuffs up our circadian rhythms and things and causes inflammation and all sorts of problems. So I just have clip-ons, and sometimes I have full goggle style as well that seal around, and so no blue light can get in, whatever. It just depends on, what I can bother doing on any given day. And then the fifth most important thing on my list of anti-inflammatory things is the right amount of the right exercise at the right intensity on the right schedule, which is a whole discussion by itself. And given that it's number 5 in importance, I don't usually spend a lot of time on that, except if people are paying me for a consult and want to know about how to do that, in which case we can go through it. Because among other things, actually my first advanced research degree was in exercise physiology. So I'm actually that first and foremost. And that was before I did human nutrition for a bit, and then eventually cardiovascular pathophysiology. So it's kind of I come from that kind of broad base. I don't know if there are too many people floating around with multiple advanced research degrees. Most people have got one. It's not that I'm banging my own drum or anything. I'm just saying the fact that I've got 3 gives me a broader base of expertise than most people, I guess. And with that experience, with having researched actively in that area and with having dealt with thousands of clients over the last few years, that's how I've molded this top 5, I think. And so people often say to me, oh, what about this? What about that? What about cold plunges? What about, all sorts of different hacks that people can put in their lives for anti-inflammatory effect? And I usually say, fine, if you want to try it. It's not on my top 5 because it just hasn't shown itself to me to be that clearly worthy of being in the top 5. So those are my 5. Carnivore diet, cereal product, daily, every day. Electrical grounding as much as possible, avoiding blue light after dark, and exercise.
All right, a couple follow-up questions before I let you go. One being brands when it comes to blue light blocking glasses and the grounding technology.
Right. Blue light blocking glasses, quite simple, really. When you put them on and you look through them at something that is blue, the sky, the splash screen of Windows, etc., or something that you know from everyday life to be a blue thing, that will appear, if the glasses are correct, that will appear either green, grey, or black, depending on the shade of blue that thing is. If you can see any blue light at all, no good. A lot of companies sell these computer blue light blocking spectacles that are clear and do not distort the color. Well, when you block blue, what happens is everything turns amber. The lens itself has to be dark amber to block blue. If it's not that color, it's not blocking the blue, is it? It's blocking a portion of the blue. That's how they get away with calling them blue blockers. That's not good enough. That will not do the trick. They must be dark amber lenses. And now you can even go really quite crazy with this as well. A friend of mine named Harry Sopanos that has his own fine YouTube channel, by the way, which you can look up if you want to. He has removed every light bulb in his house and replaced it with an amber one that has no blue in it. So that not only does it not get into his eyes, but also because your skin can also detect blue. And that can throw things out. So $25, $30 a bulb though. Okay, Harry, cool, if you like. I'm not doing that myself. I'm just doing the lenses thing, and I think that's the important thing. So they must be dark amber color. You must not be able to actually see any blue. In terms of the grounding equipment, the way to check it is to ground yourself using the grounding equipment, be that a mat on your bed or a mat on your desk or whatever it is. Connect yourself, remain connected for about 60 seconds at least before you test, and then put a multimeter across yourself. So you would put the black lead, you would put on the mat, and the red lead you would put on your skin somewhere. The voltage should be very, very close to 0. Like in the tenths of a millivolt range is what you're going to get to probably. If that's not happening, it's not working. Because when you're disconnected, as I am now, what happens is over the next few seconds, my body will build up a positive charge. There'll be a voltage difference between me and Earth, a significant, like several volts, potentially. So when I connect to the mat, over the next few seconds, that positive charge will drift down back towards zero with respect to Earth, precisely because I'm absorbing electrons through the mat coming from the Earth into my body to neutralize those charges that the body builds up just by being alive. So that's the way to test on that one.
All right, last question for you. I know you mentioned the exercise is something you share with people that are working with you one-on-one, but really broad question. For somebody that's exercising, are you a fan of the HIIT, cardio, resistance training, or a combo of the three?
HIIT and resistance training at the top end of your individual intensity spectrum. 45 minutes for the total session, which is probably a work to rest ratio of 5:1. No more than about 4 times a week and never on consecutive days. Never, ever do cardio for any significant period of time at moderate intensity. The stuff they tell you is great for you and is good for you, and the cardiovascular fitness stuff, all the stuff, basically, no. Absolutely under no circumstances should you do that level of exercise. So very, very low intensity, like basically almost resting, like maybe walking. You could do that for hours at a time. That's fine. Hiking, whatever, low intensity. High intensity burst and repeat or resistance training exercise, fine. Everything in the middle, absolutely no, under any circumstances. Unless a person says to me, oh, well, but that's my sport though. I have to train that way to perform well in my sport. To which I say, here's what I suggest. Change your sport. Because that is not good for you long term. You should not do that kind of exercise. Not designed for it. Bad idea.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
Insulin resistance is a normal, natural, indicated, and useful biological process. It is not a pathology, and it is not the cause of diabetes. The diet that these so-called scientists